Hello, and welcome to Midnight Tales, a space where everyone can immerse themselves in peace and enchantment before drifting off to sleep. Tonight, we'll explore another captivating story that invites calm and lightness, helping you rest and recharge. But first, let's take a moment to gently prepare our bodies and minds for a soothing, restorative night's sleep. Make yourself comfortable, and with each slow inhale and long exhale, allow any cares from the day to slip away. It's not always easy to detach from the hustle and mental overload, especially before bed. However, remember this: the less we worry about how quickly we'll fall asleep, the easier it is for our minds to release any tension. Let the rhythm of your breathing carry away lingering worries, and let the story you're about to hear guide you into deep relaxation. Now, close your eyes and allow the magical atmosphere to softly envelop you. Enjoy the story, and may you find peaceful, restful sleep here on Midnight Tales. Within the embrace of Oakhaven Village, nestled beside an ancient olive grove whose trees whispered forgotten histories, stood the humble single-room cottage that was Alara's world. Here she lived, cocooned by the quiet love of her parents. Alara possessed a sculptor's soul, coaxing life from the gnarled olive wood she gathered nearby, her carvings imbued with a subtle grace. Her parents, too, were artisans in their fashion. Her mother coaxed warmth and life into fragrant, crusty loaves, while her father's fingers danced with reeds, birthing baskets of remarkable complexity. Together, their crafts found eager buyers in the markets of Oakhaven and the surrounding hamlets. Theirs was not a life of riches, yet abundance flowed in simple joys. Contentment bloomed within the cottage walls, rooted deep in the soil of their small village. But a secret shimmered beneath Alara's quiet contentment, known only to her and the whispering leaves of the olive grove. Scarcely a moon cycle passed, while seeking the perfect gnarled limb for her next creation, she had stumbled upon an enchanted threshold, a cave spilling over with incandescent riches, guarded by a formidable djinn. Because Alara's heart held no avarice, no desire to plunder the glittering hoard, the djinn had permitted her departure, even conjuring for her a flawless piece of olive wood, resonant with unspoken magic. Since that day, Alara had felt drawn back to the cave's hidden entrance, though she never again uttered the words to breach its magical seal. Instead, driven by a quiet empathy for the guardian's solitary existence, she began leaving offerings just outside, a crusty loaf still radiating her mother's warmth, vanished with an ethereal whoosh and a flicker of light. Later, a basket, woven with her father's patient skill, met the same shimmering dissolution. The subsequent visit brought a change. As she approached with a small carving clutched in her hand, she found a gift awaiting her: slippers of deep crimson leather, stitched with threads of pure gold, their soles thick yet supple, footwear fit for rugged paths or royal halls. They molded to her feet with uncanny precision, a djinn's craftsmanship after all. A grateful smile touched Alara's lips as she gazed toward the unseen portal, imagining the djinn observing her from his hidden realm. She murmured her thanks for the exquisite slippers, then placed her carving upon the earth. Whoosh! Shimmer. It vanished, accepted like the gifts before it. The following weeks dissolved into the pleasant bustle of market travel, Alara and her parents journeying from village to village. The rhythm was demanding but rewarding. At each stop, the comforting aroma of fresh bread baked in her mother's portable clay oven drew crowds to their stall. Patrons whose initial purchase often led to acquiring a unique carving or a sturdy basket, sometimes both. Now, finally, they were home, their wagon lighter, their purses heavier. Autumn breathed cool promises onto the land, signaling the close of the busy market season. Alara welcomed the impending quietude, the slower cadence of fall and winter, offering precious time to replenish her stock of wooden figures, preparing for the sun-drenched days of summer yet to come. This creative replenishment required a fresh supply of olive wood. Dawn broke clear and bright, the sky a vast canvas, daubed with only a few wisps of cloud. Donning her magnificent slippers, Alara whistled for Kyle, her loyal canine shadow. Together, they ambled towards the ancient grove, its twisted trunks standing like venerable sages beneath dusty, silver-green leaves. A small pot of honey, acquired from a distant market, nestled in her satchel, a gift for the djinn. The grove held its breath, serene and seemingly deserted save for them. Birds hopped, foraging in the undergrowth, while others trilled courting songs from the low-slung branches. As they neared the djinn's domain, a disquieting sight met Ilara's eyes. The cave was open, where previously a seamless rock face had concealed the entrance. Now yawned a dark aperture. No mystic words had been uttered, no barrier dissolved. It simply stood exposed. A knot of concern tightened in Ilara's chest. Slowly, cautiously, she approached the opening, peering into the Stygian passage beyond. Silence answered her unspoken question. Worried for the djinn, she resolved to enter. Unlike her first visit, when enchanted torches had sprung to life, illuminating the way, the tunnel remained steeped in shadow, yet enough ambient light filtered from the entrance to allow her passage down the long corridor towards the main treasure chamber. The darkness gradually yielded as she neared the vast space. Looking up, Ilara noticed a small, natural fissure high in the ceiling, admitting a slender shaft of daylight. What that fragile light revealed stunned her, an immense cavern, utterly void. The legendary piles of gold coin, some as large as her hand, were gone. The mountain of glittering jewels, the priceless oil paintings, the serene marble sculptures, all had vanished. As Ilara walked the desolate space, the sheer emptiness echoing around her, Kyle explored the periphery, his nose twitching, deciphering the lingering scents clinging to the stone. Suddenly, he whined, pawing insistently at a hollow in the cave wall. Drawn by his persistence, Alara investigated, discerning a faint metallic glint within the recess. Reaching in, her fingers closed around cool metal. After a brief struggle, she dislodged a plain brass lantern. Its surface dull and unremarkable compared to the polished lamps that lit her family's cottage. Almost unconsciously, she rubbed her sleeve against its tarnished side. Instantly, with a soft, rushing sigh, the djinn materialized before her, immense and hovering. Ilara stumbled backward onto the dusty floor, Kyle erupting into a frenzy of barks at the towering apparition. The djinn, easily double a mortal man's stature, clad in flowing trousers and a long tunic cinched by a wide golden belt, floated serenely a few feet above the ground. He smiled down at Ilara, whose eyes and mouth formed perfect circles of astonishment. Kale's barking persisted until the djinn glanced his way. With a casual snap of his fingers, a large, meaty bone appeared, tossed gently towards the dog. Kyle, his priorities instantly reassessed, fell upon the unexpected treat, forgetting the giant floating nearby. Ilara, relieved to see her friend unharmed, felt a surge of questions. Once her initial shock subsided, she implored him to explain. The djinn recounted how the thieves, who had long used the cave as their secret repository, grew suspicious that their hoard had been discovered. As its bound guardian, he had been forced to protect their plunder, revealing nothing of Ilara's first visit to shield her from their wrath. However, one thief, lingering behind after the others departed, had witnessed her leaving gifts. Confronted, the djinn confessed her visits, but swore she had taken nothing. Trust irrevocably broken, the thieves had imprisoned him within the brass lantern, relocating their ill-gotten gains to another hidden location somewhere within the kingdom of Eldoria. There he remained, trapped, until Ilara's touch had freed him. Freedom felt glorious, the djinn admitted, yet uncertainty clouded his newfound liberty. His obligation to the thieves was dissolved. His path was now his own to choose. Should he remain in the cave, his home for countless decades, or perhaps indulge in the traditional pastime of freed djinn, plaguing mortals with mischievous tricks? Ilara gently countered that notion, asking if he harbored any dreams beyond tormenting humans. A wistful look entered the djinn's eyes. He confessed a long-held desire to travel, to witness the entirety of the kingdom of Eldoria. Ilara clapped her hands, delight sparking within her. She, too, yearned for horizons beyond her familiar valley, a mere fragment of the vast kingdom. Tales she'd heard painted vivid pictures, mountains perpetually crowned with snow, fertile plains rippling with wheat and barley, sun-drenched groves heavy with oranges, and the magnificent capital city, Viridia, where King Valerius reigned from his mighty stone citadel. Intrigued by her vibrant descriptions, the djinn proposed she join him on his journey. Alas, Ilara demurred, her parents' inevitable worry anchoring her to home. A knowing grin spread across the djinn's face. With a resonant snap of his fingers, a large, intricately patterned carpet unfurled before them, not resting on the stone, but hovering a hand's breadth above it. This magical conveyance, he explained, would carry them faster than imagination across Eldoria's diverse landscapes, a far more comfortable mode of travel than horseback. They could traverse the entire kingdom in a single day. The offer resonated deeply with Alara's own wanderlust. To see her country, to experience its wonders firsthand, it was an irresistible opportunity. Nodding her assent, she stepped onto the softly yielding surface, settling cross-legged near the back. Calling Kyle, she watched him leap up, curling contentedly in her lap. The djinn floated to the front, assuming the navigator's position. To the mountain villages, he commanded the carpet softly. With that simple instruction, the carpet glided smoothly through the tunnel, emerged into the bright sunlight, and ascended rapidly. Soon, the trio soared above the ancient olive trees, the world unfurling beneath them. They passed over Oakhaven, her family's cottage, a tiny, cherished speck below. Villages blurred beneath them, the landscape scrolling past at impossible speed, compressing days of arduous travel into fleeting moments. As the valley yielded to the rising foothills of Eldoria's great mountain range, the carpet climbed effortlessly, matching the ascending terrain. The ground below grew rugged and stony, though Alara could trace the thin ribbon of road carved for determined travelers. The air thinned, biting with an alpine chill that seeped through Alara's simple clothes. Noticing her shiver, the djinn gestured. Instantly, she was enveloped in the comforting warmth of a thick woolen cloak and cap, soft and instantly cozy. She murmured her thanks. Soon, patches of lingering snow dotted the rocky slopes below. Ahead, nestled high amongst the peaks, lay a village, even smaller than Oakhaven, revealed as they drew closer. Its homes were fashioned from mud bricks, heavily insulated against the cold, with bales of straw and dried grass stacked against the walls and piled upon the roofs. These bales served a dual purpose, Alara realized, spotting penned goats and sheep contentedly nibbling at their edible insulation. Thin tendrils of smoke curled from tiny stovepipes, piercing each roof, testament to the wood fires warming the inhabitants within. An air of midday quietude hung over the settlement. Its people were likely indoors, sharing their meals. The djinn guided the carpet to a gentle landing just beyond the village perimeter, ensuring their arrival went unnoticed. Another snap of his fingers, and the carpet vanished. Simultaneously, the djinn altered his form, shrinking from his imposing stature to that of a kindly, middle-aged man who walked upon the earth, though still clad in his distinctive trousers, tunic, and golden belt. Their purpose here wasn't social interaction, however. Alara craved the raw, untamed beauty of this place she had only dreamed of. With Kale trotting faithfully beside them, she and the disguised djinn followed a path leading further uphill, away from the quiet village. They navigated around large boulders, where hardy, scrubby plants clung tenaciously to life in the crevices. Their footsteps crunched on patches of snow, remnants of the previous winter, mingling with other tracks, human, goat, sheep, in some unfamiliar prints that spiked Alara's curiosity. The djinn identified these immediately. Mountain lion. Far from being alarmed, knowing the djinn's protective power, Alara felt a thrill of anticipation. She had never seen such a creature. "Could we find it?" she whispered. Eyes scanning the ground, they proceeded slowly, following the large cat's trail. When the tracks faded on rocky terrain, Kyle took the lead, his sensitive nose unerringly guiding them onward. Upward they climbed, the air growing crisper still, until they reached a tall, solitary tree. Kyle sniffed intently around its base, then tilted his head back and barked softly. High amongst the branches, regarding them with aloof golden eyes, sat a magnificent lion. Its tawny fur was thick and sleek, the tips of its tail and tufted ears several shades darker. Clearly shy, the creature desired no interaction. Alara hushed Kyle, and after drinking in the sight of the beautiful animal for a respectful moment, the trio quietly retraced their steps. Walking back, Alara inhaled deeply, filling her lungs with the clean, sharp mountain air. A short side path, missed on their ascent while tracking the lion, beckoned. Following it, they emerged into a breathtaking scene. A pool of crystalline water, perfectly still and clear, encircled by moss-dappled rocks. Feeding this tranquil oasis was a waterfall, cascading down a high rocky ledge, its descent shattering the sunlight into 1,000 sparkling, multi-hued gems that danced in the mist rising from the pool. Had the air not held its mountain chill, Alara would have gladly waded into the inviting water. Instead, she contented herself with admiring its pristine beauty, warm and dry in her enchanted cloak. Returning to the main path, they climbed to its highest vantage point. Alara gasped, overwhelmed by the panoramic vistas. In one direction, even taller peaks pierced the sky, their summits gleaming white with perpetual snow. Turning, she could just make out her own valley, a tiny, distant green smudge, yet achingly familiar. And stretching away in another direction lay the rich, fertile farm country, the breadbasket of Eldoria. That was their next destination. Back at their landing spot, the djinn summoned the carpet with a snap of his fingers and resumed his true form. They settled onto the floating tapestry, and the djinn directed it towards the farmlands. The carpet descended, gliding down the mountainside at a dreamlike pace. The landscape transformed with every passing minute, the temperature rising steadily. Soon, Alara gratefully removed the woolen cloak and hat, the cold mountain air replaced by a gentler warmth. The rocky terrain gave way to verdant fields, crops ripening under the benevolent sun. They soared over a large, prosperous-looking village before landing softly near the edge of an orange grove. Once more, the djinn concealed the carpet and adopted his mortal disguise. Alara gazed with pleasure at the orderly rows of trees to her left. Though lacking the wild, ancient spirit of her beloved olive grove, its shady depths held their own quiet invitation. Across the narrow dirt track bordering the grove lay a field of corn. Having never witnessed corn growing before, Alara was fascinated by the towering height of the stalks and their dense formation. While the djinn waited patiently by the road, she squeezed between the rustling stems for a closer look, Kyle padding beside her. She had ventured only a few feet when a strange voice offered a greeting. Alara looked around, puzzled. Apart from Coil, the only visible creature was a glossy black crow perched jauntily on a bent cornstalk nearby. It cocked its head, regarded her with bead-bright eyes, and then repeated, quite clearly, "Hello." Surprise jolted Alara, but then, considering she had just descended a mountain on a flying carpet accompanied by a djinn, a talking crow seemed almost mundane. A smile touched her lips. "Hello," she replied. Curiosity piqued. She asked the crow how it came to speak. The bird confessed uncertainty, explaining it had simply listened intently to the farmers working the fields and eventually began mimicking their words. The farmers, it added somewhat mournfully, had never paid it much mind. Alara was the first person ever to respond. The crow mentioned it resided in the adjacent orange grove, visiting the field daily for corn. Alara asked if it would show them its home. With a flap of glossy wings, the crow launched itself across the path, heading into the shady haven of the trees. Alara and Kale followed at a more terrestrial pace, soon joined by the djinn. They found the crow perched on a low-hanging branch near the grove's heart. A peaceful quiet reigned amongst the trees, the sunlight filtering softly through the leaves, stirred by a gentle breeze. Branches hung heavy with ripe fruit, the deep orange hue a vibrant contrast against the lush green foliage. As Alara absorbed the tranquil beauty, a young farmer appeared, pushing a wooden wheelbarrow half filled with fragrant oranges. He offered a friendly greeting to Alara and the disguised djinn, asking if they required directions. Alara explained they were merely visitors, admiring the beauty of his grove. Pleased, the farmer welcomed them to explore further, inviting them to pick a few oranges for their journey. Mindful not to impose, Alara selected only 2, thanking him for his generosity. Peeling the fruit as they strolled leisurely beneath the trees, they savored the juicy segments one by one, the quiet punctuated only by the rustle of leaves and the crow's occasional harmless gossip as it flitted from branch to branch, keeping them company. Eventually, the lure of the capital city beckoned. The djinn snapped his fingers, recalling the carpet, and the trio climbed aboard. Waving farewell to their avian companion, the djinn directed the carpet towards Viridia. Gaining altitude swiftly, the fertile farmland transformed into a vibrant patchwork quilt below. Soon, the rural landscape yielded to denser settlements, signaling their approach to the outskirts of Viridia. The djinn guided the carpet to land discreetly within a small copse of trees, near enough to the city gates for convenience, but sufficiently removed to avoid unwanted attention. Concealing the carpet and resuming his disguise, he joined Alara and Kale as they walked towards the capital. It was market day in Viridia, and the city pulsed with vibrant energy. Shops and inns overflowed, while the wide avenues thronged with makeshift stalls and simple wagons, offering everything imaginable, from fruit and bread to candles and clothing. Smooth cobblestones paved the streets, and the tidy store fronts were constructed from large, precisely cut stones. Cheerful flower boxes adorned many windowsills, splashing color against the cool gray stone. While the market bustled with fascinating activity, Elara had witnessed many markets in her travels. Her true desire lay elsewhere. They navigated the crowded thoroughfares, heading steadily uphill towards the residence of King Valerius. The castle, too, was built of stone, but of a unique granite quarried far to the south. Its distinctive, beautiful green hue made the structure stand out, a majestic emerald heart within the city. As they neared the castle approach, an elderly man, walking just ahead of them, tripped on a loose cobblestone and stumbled. Without hesitation, Elara rushed forward, offering a steadying arm. The man smiled warmly at her kindness, assuring her it wasn't necessary. His home was directly before them. He gestured towards the castle gates, from which several guards now emerged, hurrying towards them with expressions of concern. The old man, Elara realized with a jolt, was King Valerius himself. The king explained, his eyes twinkling, that he enjoyed taking clandestine afternoon walks amongst his subjects, allowing him to gauge the pulse of his city directly. Charmed by Elara's spontaneous aid, he invited her and her companions inside for tea, an offer they eagerly accepted. Flanked by the relieved guards, they passed through the grand entrance into a vast reception hall. It was the largest room Elara had ever encountered, its walls lined with chairs, intricate hand-woven carpets softening the green stone floor, and dominated by a single, imposing throne, also carved from the green stone, elevated slightly above the hall. But King Valerius didn't linger there. Turning right, he led them through an unassuming door, down a short corridor, and into a much smaller, more intimate chamber. This cozy room featured plush chairs arranged companionably, tapestry swarming the walls, and a gleaming brass tray laden with tea and cakes. Dismissing the guards and servants with a gentle wave, the king proceeded to pour tea for his guests with the unassuming grace of a perfect host. They talked comfortably of books and art, of the joys and trials of travel. Elara and the Jinn spoke of their journey, allowing the king to assume they had traveled conventionally, perhaps by horseback, over many weeks. King Valerius listened, impressed by their adventures, and particularly intrigued by Elara's fond descriptions of her distant valley and its ancient olive trees, a region so remote he had never had occasion to visit. Their pleasant conversation was eventually interrupted by a guard, discreetly reminding the king of an impending meeting. Evening shadows were beginning to lengthen, and Elara felt the pull of home, the longing for her own beloved valley. They expressed their gratitude to the kind king and, escorted by a guard, made their way back outside. The trio walked back towards the city gates through the market, now winding down for the day. Vendors were packing their wares, while shoppers dispersed, heading home or towards nearby inns for their evening meal. Alara, Kyle, and the Jinn returned to their secluded stand of trees. With a final snap of his fingers, the Jinn brought forth the magic carpet. They climbed aboard one last time. The Jinn directed the carpet back towards the valley, instructing it to travel at a more leisurely pace. A profound yawn escaped Alara as the carpet floated serenely above the lights of Viridia, beginning to twinkle in the dusk. She lay back, pulling Kyle close, the rhythmic, gentle sway, a soothing cradle. Closing her eyes, she let the day's wonders wash over her in a warm tide. Mountains piercing the clouds, a talking crow sharing secrets in an orange grove, the unexpected kindness of a king. It had been an extraordinary experience, a tapestry of memories she would cherish forever. Kyle sighed contentedly, snuggling closer, wrapped in the magic of the moment and the weariness of adventure. The two travelers quietly drifted toward sleep, borne homeward on silent, enchanted currents. A resplendent sun reigns over a sky of flawless cerulean, its brilliance mirrored in the vast ocean beneath. This expanse of water seems to luminesce, a magical blue ignited by sparks of sunlight upon its surface. For this moment, the sea holds its breath, almost still. The wind has quieted its bluster. Waves now unfurl with languid grace towards the pale sands. Their arrival is a lulling cadence, a steady, tranquil rhythm. Each liquid sigh washes ashore, retreats with a silken whisper, an ebb and flow composing a hypnotic measure. Initially, the cadence seems immutable. The wave arrives, the wave departs, identical to its predecessor. Yet, a fleeting surge in the breeze lends the incoming water a bolder voice, a slightly grander form. Though the rhythm persists, attentive ears discern subtle variations, fleeting modulations. For the ocean is an intricate tapestry, interwoven with sand, air, and every creature dwelling within its depths. Thus, its seemingly monotonous song, the ceaseless murmur of the waves, stands poised for transformation. A mere whisper of shifting wind acts as a conductor's unseen baton, urging the waves to a crescendo of rougher, louder music before guiding them back to serene quietude. And then the sound alters once more, in nuances profound and mysterious, perceptible only to the denizens of this liquid realm. High above this aquatic theater, Kalen the gull inscribes slow circles against the blue. He is intimately familiar with the ocean's moods, its sonic textures, and shifting choreography. His sharp eyes scan the waves, awaiting the precise instant to plunge towards piscine quarry. When the water lies placid, revealing a fish near the sunlit surface, Kalen will descend like a feathered dart. Gulls possess extraordinary vision, capable of resolving details from 2 miles distant. For Kalen, wheeling high over calm waters on such a pellucid day, sustenance should be readily found. He seeks provision not just for himself, but for the newly hatched lives nestled on a nearby cliff face, currently under the watchful eye of Lyra, his mate. She is more than the mother of his brood. She is his partner for life, a fidelity rare in the animal kingdom. Kalen hopes for fish, silvery and swift, or perhaps the stubborn bounty of clams or mussels. These latter require ingenuity. He has mastered the art of dropping their hardened shells from a height onto unforgiving rock until they yield their succulent interiors. A worthy effort for such delectable fare. Drifting further along the coastline, Kalen's gaze remains riveted to the water below. Suddenly, movement and color flicker just beneath the surface. He recognizes the pale shimmering forms instantly, emitting a sharp cry of discovery. Directly below, a vast congregation of fish pulses through the water. Here lies abundance, enough not only for his own family, but for the entire colony. Moments later, drawn by his resonant calls, fellow gulls converge, adding their own expressive cries to the air. A chorus of echoing squawks. On crystalline days like this, their calls carry far along the coast, audible for miles. Though famously clamorous, gulls employ sound with purpose. They are intelligent, intensely social creatures, utilizing a complex repertoire of vocalizations and body language to converse within the colony. This dialogue commences even within the egg. An unborn chick peep in to solicit parental attention and sustenance. The parent gulls echo this mewling call, a form of avian baby talk. Courtship sounds possess a similar softness, while other contexts demand loud, trumpeting declarations. The precise tone shifting whether the bird is wooing a potential mate or asserting dominance in a territorial dispute. Humans often attempt to decipher these sounds, translating them into familiar expressions of ownership. This patch is mine, or emotions like elation or triumph. Yet the subtle intricacies of their communication remain a language truly known only to the birds themselves. This assembled flock alternates between excited chattering and long, plangent calls. Soon, others will arrive to partake in the feast, but now belongs to the spotter. Kalen, having first spied the fish, now prepares to claim his reward. He waits, poised, until the fish are starkly visible beneath the undulating waves, then commences his swift descent. He plunges, a feathered missile aimed at the surface. Down, down, down. Gulls breach the water. Yes, but their submersion is fleeting. Just long enough to snatch their prey before soaring skyward once more. This brevity is fortunate for the fish navigating deeper currents. Down here, tranquility reigns. Fish glide with unhurried grace, some scarcely seeming to move, surrendering to the gentle sway of the water, rocking softly back and forth. Venturing further into the sun-dappled shallows, a majestic coral reef materializes. Sunlight streams through the aqueous medium, casting shimmering, transient patterns upon the intricate architecture. Tiny, iridescent gobies dart amidst the vast, golden structures, ephemeral flashes of light. Larger fish, adorned in brilliant hues, drift past with tranquil solemnity, their movements akin to slow motion. The reef dwellers exhibit every shade imaginable, from fiery orange to electric blue. As they navigate the coral labyrinth, some glide in silence, while others emit hushed, subtle noises. Certain fish release bubbles, tiny spheres ascending with soft, popping sounds. Others ripple through the water, their supple bodies generating delicate swishes with flicks of their tails. These are quiet, incidental sounds, vastly different from the constant purposeful clamor of the gulls above. At first glance, each fish seems encased in its own silent bubble, oblivious to its neighbors. One might glide past another, separated by less than a fin's breadth, yet both appear utterly unaware, like focused commuters navigating a rush hour, intent only on their destinations. But this apparent indifference belies a deeper reality. Fish communicate through manifold, often unseen methods. Silent dialogues unfold through electrical impulses or the subtle release of pheromones. Light and color serve as signals during courtship. Some fish flash bioluminescent lights or shift their pigmentation to brighter or darker shades. For collective harmony, body language is paramount. Fish respond instinctively to specific gestures while schooling, reacting instantaneously to each other's movements. This rapid synchrony allows vast shoals to travel safely and locate food efficiently. Yet, for the majority of sea creatures, the most prevalent medium of communication is sound, which propagates even more swiftly underwater than through air. A bustling coral reef, teeming with life, resonates with sound as much as it dazzles with color. A fish of startling blue circles the reef, emitting a soft, purring vibration. This male seeks a mate, hoping his insistent call will capture the attention of nearby females. He repeats the sequence of low vibrations again and again, swimming purposefully over the coral landscape. These sounds originate from his swim bladder. The organ contracts and vibrates, producing the low buzz. Other fish generate sound by grinding pharyngeal teeth or snapping their jaws shut. Herring possess an even more unconventional method, communicating through high-frequency gas emissions. It may seem peculiar, yet this flatulent signaling apparently allows herring shoals to locate and cohere during the darkness of night. Fish perceive sound differently than humans. They detect vibrations via their inner ears, discerning mating calls, warnings, or myriad other messages from their kin. A dominant anemone fish, for instance, opens and closes her jaw to produce chirping, popping sounds, broadcasting her authority to the group. Some denizens of the deep croak in baritone, serenading potential mates swimming kilometers away. The meanings of other aquatic sounds remain obscure. Perhaps they are the marine equivalents of songs, shouts, or ritual chants. Their true significance, however, may be a secret held only by the fish themselves. Scientists strive to unravel the complexities of fish communication alongside the enigmatic sounds produced by other marine life. Plans are underway to create a comprehensive virtual catalog, the Global Library of Underwater Biological Sounds, or GLUBS, to help monitor the ocean's acoustic landscape, from humming fish to squeaking manatees. Perhaps some fish even communicate with glubs alongside their purrs and croaks. Countless intriguing sounds surely await discovery within the vast ocean depths. Beyond the reef, further from the shore, another lively conversation unfolds. Two bottlenose dolphins, Coralia and her daughter Echo, exchange effervescent clicks and whistles as they slice through the luminous water. This mother-daughter pair explores the ocean together, hunting for fish, Like their prey, dolphins employ diverse communication strategies. Tail slaps or forceful exhalations through their blowholes often serve as warnings, while synchronized movements convey solidarity. They can also send messages through strategically released bubble clouds and breathtaking aerial acrobatics. And then, of course, there are the sounds. Coralia and Echo maintain constant, noisy contact, expressing themselves through high-pitched whistles. They can identify each other from afar by sound alone. Each bottlenose dolphin possesses a unique signature whistle. A mother dolphin vocalizes this specific whistle repeatedly during pregnancy, effectively teaching the melody to her unborn calf. The calf, Echo in this instance, then spends her first year refining her own personal call, influenced by the whistles of the adults in her pod. Once established, this unique acoustic signature serves as her identifier for life, used to share information or express herself during social interactions. As the pair spirals downwards, Coralia emits her signature whistle, a long, vibrating squeak that resonates through the water. Echo responds, not with her own developing call, but with a perfect imitation of her mother's. This affectionate mimicry, rare in the natural world, speaks volumes about the unique, profound bonds within dolphin families. The connection between mother and calf is particularly intense and enduring. Echo will remain by Coralia's side for several more years, learning the arts of hunting and survival. Even after achieving independence, she will remain within the pod, periodically returning to swim alongside her mother. For now, however, the two are inseparable. They venture deeper, whistling lovingly to one another, entwined in a graceful, submerged ballet. Then, having reached their desired depth, they turn back towards the light. It is time to rejoin their pod, their extended family. As Coralia and her calf ascend, their joyful clicks gradually diminish, fading into the deeper quietude, imperceptible to the creatures dwelling far below. It is quiet here, yet not utterly silent. A new sound emerges, a melodic moaning that swells in volume, slow and resonant. This is the song of a humpback whale. The adult male swims in peaceful solitude, his immense form gliding through the water. As he travels, he performs spectral vocalizations, complex sequences often lasting 20 minutes or more. It is a low, ethereal sound, capable of traversing hundreds of miles through the ocean's expanse. The beauty of the sound is captivating in itself, but the enigmatic nature of the whale's song renders it even more fascinating. Scientists remain uncertain about the precise reasons humpback whales sing, or why they construct such lengthy, intricate sonic structures. The song often comprises multiple distinct sections or phrases, featuring variations in frequency and volume. These elaborate patterns are repeated cyclically, sometimes continuing for days on end. In essence, humpback whales perform intricate, self-composed songs on a loop for no clearly discernible purpose. Perhaps they are mating calls, territorial declarations, or maybe, like humans, They create music simply for the intrinsic pleasure it brings. Whatever the motivation, the whales continue their singing throughout their lives. These extraordinary melodies are not static. They change and evolve over time. A whale might even share elements of its song with another unrelated individual who can learn parts of the harmony, a marine form of cultural exchange, one whale adopting phrases from another's repertoire. The humpback continues his slow, plaintive song as he ascends towards the surface. Even as he rises, the water remains dark. Night has fallen. Silvery moonlight barely penetrates the ocean's skin. The sea is tranquil now, the whale's song the most distinct sound carrying through the water. His harmonies swell, reaching a final crescendo, and then, at last, silence falls. His powerful vocal apparatus requires periodic rest. It is time for repose, for a breath of fresh air. The whale surfaces gently, his massive head breaking through the waves. He draws a deep, conscious breath of the cool night air through his blowhole. Unlike humans with their automatic respiration, whales must actively decide to breathe. Consequently, rather than sleeping in the crushing depths, he naps near the surface, where air is readily accessible. Sleeping habits differ among whale species. Sperm whales slumber vertically in pods, dozing just below the surface. This humpback, weary from his long journey and equally extensive musical performance, begins to feel the pull of sleep. Floating at the surface, he closes an eye, finally surrendering to rest. Tonight, stillness settles over the ocean. The whale's song has ended. The dolphin pod sleeps near the shallows. The fish rest amongst the moon-silvered coral. High on the cliff overlooking the coast, Kalen, Lyra, and their chicks huddle together in the nest, deep in slumber. The only persistent sound now is the lulling rhythm of the waves. The tide creeps slowly inward, washing over the shore. Water flows across the sand, then recedes. It comes in and then goes out, as if the sea itself is drawing deep, slow breaths. With each gentle surge, the ocean cradles its marvelous creatures, easing them deeper into sleep